How's it, everyone, and welcome. We're about to break down one of the most important chapters in your entire grade 12 math literacy syllabus. Yep, it's patterns, relationships, and representations. Now, this stuff comes up in both paper 1 times paper 2, so if we can nail this today, you'll be building some serious confidence for those final exams.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute basics, spotting patterns. Then we'll see how those patterns create relationships. From there, we'll learn how to organize them in tables and turn them into graphs. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with some proper exam practice. Ready? Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first, let's get stuck into the real building blocks of this chapter, figuring out what a pattern actually is. Now, I know we use that word all the time, but in Mathlit, it has a very specific meaning, and we need to know it for the exams.
Right, this might sound like a bit of a strange question, hey? But the answer is actually really simple. They both follow predictable patterns. Think about it. The more data you use, the more you pay, right? And that cost goes up in a predictable way. Same thing with an Uber or a Bolt. Every kilometer you travel adds a predictable amount to your fare. That idea of predictability is everything in this chapter.
So in Mathlit, a pattern is just a set of numbers that follows a clear, predictable rule. Your job is to be the detective who figures out what that rule is. It doesn't matter if the numbers are going up, going down, or staying exactly the same. There's always a rule you can find.
For any number pattern they give you, you just need to answer two simple questions. Number one, where does it start? Here, it's obviously 5. And number two, what's the rule? Well, you can see we're just adding 5 each time. Starting value and rule. That's all there is to it. Awesome. Now that we can spot a pattern in one list of numbers, let's connect the dots and move on to understanding relationships. This is where we look at two different things, we call them variables, and see how a pattern links them together.
Okay, this part is absolutely crucial, so let's focus. The best way to remember the difference is to think cause and effect. The independent variable is the cause. It's the thing that changes first. On a graph, it always goes on the bottom, the horizontal x-axis. The dependent variable is the effect, or the result. Its value depends on the other one, and it always goes on the side, the vertical y-axis. Think about it. The amount of money you earn depends on the number of hours you work. Make sense? This is a fantastic little trick to check if you've got it right. Just try to put the two variables into a sentence like this. Does time cause the distance you travel to change? Yes, of course. Can the distance you travel cause time to change? No way. So time is the cause, it's independent, and distance is the effect, it's dependent. Right, so we get patterns and we get relationships. But now we need a way to organize all this information neatly. And honestly, tables are one of the best tools for telling a clear story with your data before you even think about drawing a graph. Let's use a real-world example, something straight from a past exam paper, to see how a table works. This is a classic Mathlit scenario. You've got a fixed amount, the salary, and a variable amount, the commission. And here is the table for that exact scenario. See how clearly it lays out the relationship? The number of clients is on top. That's our independent variable. And the total salary is at the bottom. That's our dependent variable, because the salary depends on the number of clients signed. You can see that pattern plain as day. For every one new client, the salary jumps up by $1,200. That table gives us the perfect recipe for our next big step, taking that data and turning it into a picture. And that's all a graph is, really. It's a visual picture of a relationship.
Now, I need you to listen very carefully here, because this slide is basically a checklist for easy marks. Seriously, in your exams, getting a graph perfect isn't about being an artist. It's about following these simple rules every single time. Give it a heading. Put your labels on the axes, including the units, like rand or kilograms. Use a consistent scale. These are marks you just can't afford to throw away. Okay, so you've drawn a perfect graph. Now what? Well, now you need to be able to read the story it's telling you. This is where most of the marks in this whole section are won or lost, so let's make sure we know exactly what we're doing. All right, let's use this simple graph about the cost of potatoes to practice the two main skills you'll be tested on. We're going to practice reading from the bottom axis up and from the side axis across. So for this first question, we're given the weight 7.5 kilograms. That's our independent variable, remember. So we find it on the horizontal axis at the bottom. Start there at 7.5, move your fingers straight up until you hit the line, and then go straight across to the side to find the cost.
And there we go. You find 7.5 kilos at the bottom, go up to the line, and then go across to the vertical axis. And the answer is R150. Easy as that. Okay, now we're going to do the exact opposite. This time, we're starting with the money, R300. That's our dependent variable, so we find it on the vertical axis on the side. We'll start there, move our finger across until we hit the line, and then go straight down to the bottom to find the weight. Perfect. You start at R300 on the side, move across to the line, and then straight down, and you land on 15 kilograms. If you can do it both ways like that, you have pretty much mastered reading graphs. Right, you've seen how all these pieces fit together. I've done enough talking. Now it's your chance to put these skills to the test with a few questions that are very similar to what you'll find in your matric exam. Okay, have a careful read of these. The first one is a straightforward pattern question. The second one asks you to calculate a value from a relationship. And the third one checks if you really understand your variables. Try to solve them before I show you the answers. Go on, hit the pause button now. Grab a pen and some paper and really give them a try. Don't worry, we'll be right here when you're ready to check.
Right, are you ready? Let's check your work. For number 1, the pattern was 6, 12, 18, so you just keep adding 6 to get 24, 30, and 36. For number 2, you have the R100 fixed fee plus 20 cards at R4 each, that's R80, so R100 plus R80 gives you a total of R180. And for the last one, the total cost is the dependent variable, because the final cost depends on how many cards are printed. So, how did you do?
And that brings us to the end. I really need you to remember that this chapter, Patterns, Relationships, and Representations, is guaranteed to be a huge part of your final exams. It will be in paper 1, and it will be in paper 2. It's not about being a maths genius. It's just about understanding the logic and practicing the steps we went through today. If you can master this chapter, you are setting yourself up for a great final result. Good luck with your studies.